Hey Lou.
Hey Nate, how's it going?
Really good, thank you, my babe. How are you? How's your week?
Yeah, not bad. I'm getting used to the cold weather, kind of enjoying more like hot chocolates, that autumn feeling. It's lovely, isn't it?
It is lovely, yeah. I have joined your little cohort as well, and I have chucked on the heated blankie.
Oh,
So
nothing better, nothing better.
nothing better. So another really exciting guest podcast today. We are absolutely thrilled to welcome on Ceels Lockley. Ceels is a business coach and strategist based in the UK. She works with service providers, freelancers, consultants, and agency owners. And Ceels specialises in niche marketing, offer suite design, and messaging. Hi, Ceels.
Hello.
So excited to have you on the pod.
So excited to be here. It's just really, really fun, isn't it? Doing these, like, yeah, let's chat, let's hang.
Let's chat. Let's get into it. Yeah.
There's no better job. With over 20 years experience in digital marketing, Ceels' background includes social media direction for Sony Mobile and Habit, as well as leading digital editorial and content for Tesco magazine. Ceels left her agency career in 2019 to pursue self-employment to work around her baby daughter, and has since built a thriving coaching business.
Yeah, awesome
Thanks
stuff.
for the intro.
You're so welcome.
Yeah.
We've done our research.
Yes, yeah, because you host the Peaceful Service Pro podcast as well, which is a weekly podcast kind of aimed at service providers, and it's got like an insane amount of like downloads. It's got like 40,000 downloads, over 100 episodes. It's crazy with like mindset and strategy chips as well. So you've been very, very busy, haven't you, really?
I have been busy, babes. Yeah, I have been. Yeah, that podcast is now just about 2 years old, which is
Wow.
which is crazy. Like, and I don't think I would have been on that journey of, you know, growing a podcast and all that kind of stuff if it wasn't for my my very helpful sister, who is a podcast producer, who basically kept me accountable to publish every single week for 2 years, and that's what it takes, and that whole kind of, you know, consistency creates results. It really does.
Yeah.
It's a shame that, isn't it? Because it's definitely not my best strength, and I know it's so true. Like even with like the gym and healthy eating, I'm like, you just got to do it. But it's a hard lesson to learn over again, isn't it?
Yeah, we're trying to be like you. You're our podcast inspiration because we absolutely love your show. So
Yes.
Thank you. That's
One
very
day.
kind.
One day,
Yeah.
So before we kick off with today's topic, we just want to say massive congratulations on your recent rebrand.
Yes.
We know that has gone live recently, which is just, it looks incredible.
So good.
Thank you. And I couldn't have done it without the help of you guys and the incredible Madeline Parker template. Basically, a bit of background. I am, you know, web design kind of familiar. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, don't know everything at all. Always learning, but built a lot of websites in the past. And when it came to this rebrand, I was like, I could just build my website from scratch, or I could just stop trying to do everything myself and actually delegate part of the process. Yeah. And it's just been so helpful. So thank you.
Oh, we're so glad. And we just absolutely love what you've done with it. We'll pop a link to your website in the show notes for this one, because it just deserves all eyes on it. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah. It's really good. And yeah, it's such a hard lesson to learn as a business owner, because it's like your baby, but it definitely, because it gives you more time to work on other parts of your business. So you're like, why am I trying to do it all? I don't need to do it all. Like, no one has said that I have to do it all just because I'm a one-man band. It's insane, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think as well, like, I'm happy to outsource things that I'm not very good at, but I think when it comes to stuff you are proficient in, it's much harder to go, actually I'm not, it's not the best use of my time anymore, and like I should be focusing on strategy and sales and like the big stuff. And you know, so I feel like this is a step in the right direction, that I bought the template and didn't do the whole thing myself. Like, I still wrote all the copy, I came up with all the creative, I designed my entire new brand.
Yeah, there's definitely enough jobs to do. There's not like yeah.
But I loved it. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So yeah.
Oh, good. Love that. So that actually leads on very nicely to introducing our topic for today, because we're going to be talking to you about all things niching and specialising, and why this is important for small businesses and their growth.
Yeah. Well, where do we begin? I mean, why is it important? Well, first of all, I think that in this world, there is so much competition. And the basic answer to that question is, so you can stand out, so you can be memorable, so people can actually go, yeah, okay, this is the right person for me because they specialize in X, Y, and Z, rather than, oh, I'm just going to work with whoever because, I just need to get the job done. So it's the difference between being a specialist and a generalist.
Love that.
Yeah. No, that is, it's such a good point. I know that you do speak a lot about, specializing and not being a generalist. Like, why do you think that's important for small business owners to be a specialist?
There's a few reasons. So first of all, if you are generalizing, and obviously I know your audience are quite diverse and like do lots of different things, but if you are selling anything, whether it's a product or a service, remember that there is always going to be somebody else selling that product or service. And so this is really just about differentiation. And differentiation is so important when you are thinking about your overall business success, your business model. And this is where people go wrong. They go, oh, I'll just do that because I'm good at it, or I'll do that because I like it. I'll do that because it's creatively stimulating. I'll do that because somebody's asked for it. But actually what we need to do is unfortunately, we need to go back to the boring business end of things with everything we're doing, including our niche and our specialism. And we need to think about why people need to buy our thing, because it's relevant to them, like making it more relevant to them, making it more of an experience for them. So going back to your original question, it's so important because it's about you creating an experience which is relevant for the person you want to buy your product. And if it's not relevant and it doesn't work for them, then they're not going to buy it. So
that's such a good way of looking at it, because I think we get kind of pushback from a lot of people like, oh, but I don't want to close anyone off, or like I want to like I'm for everyone, or they feel like they're going to miss out on those sales by niching down. Can you like explain why basically that just isn't the case?
Yeah, no, totally. So you've got to imagine niching a bit like this. So if you are trying to fish from the big open seas, the oceans, you're trying to trawl the oceans for clients. That's you keeping your options open, saying, I work with anybody and I'll take any customers, and I'll deal with anyone. That's going to be a lot of hard work because you've got a big, big ocean to fish in, and you're going to be literally trawling all the time. Imagine if you then moved to a niche, which is basically the equivalent of moving to the mill pond, where there are lots of big fish and there's nobody else there. Or there might be a few people there, but most of the people there are not actually relevant to those fish. Gosh, this analogy is going somewhere, isn't it?
No, I liked it.
But you get to kind of create your own captive audience, because you get to choose where you fish. So it's a difference between trawling everywhere, going with everything, or getting more specific and finding a specific type of client or customer who wants a specific type of experience, and who you know them really well, so you can create that for them, rather than you create something which somebody might like, or somebody over there might not like it, or they might have a different idea about what it needs to be, and then they'll change the scope, or they'll ask for something else, and that's really annoying because it interferes with your business process. So there's just, I could talk about this for so long. There's so many reasons why you need to niche down.
Well, that is fantastic, because I would love for you to give us a little bit more, because this is a phrase that we use in our marketing as well. Something that you say quite a lot is dream customer. So when you're brand new in your business, there really is that kind of, you feel this sense of urgency to accept work from anyone and everyone. Why is that a bad idea? Why is being crystal clear on who you actually want to work with so crucial?
It's about you protecting the integrity of your business. If you say yes to everyone, if you are serving everyone who comes through the door and tries to offer you money in return for your service, then it's not going to necessarily, and like obviously it depends who they are, but it's not going to necessarily serve you well. Because if you are only saying yes to everyone and doing everything for everyone, you're going to end up doing lots of different things in an average way. And so if you say my dream customer is somebody who wants this specific thing, and they are a specific type of person at a specific stage of business wanting a specific type of problem solved, then you can create the perfect solution for them. And that means that you can give them a great experience that they're going to tell their friends about, and they're going to rave about, and they're going to come back, and they're going to, potentially do something else with you. Whereas if you are letting everyone through the door and saying yes to everyone and not thinking about who that dream customer is, you're going to end up running around doing all of the things, and you're going to feel very diluted in what you're doing.
Yeah. And something that I think, because it's so hard when you're in those beginning throes of the business journey to kind of look that far ahead, but like attracts like. And I think if you scattergun your approach to the kinds of customers that you work with and the kinds of things that you do, you will attract an even more diverse range, which isn't necessarily a good thing. If there's one thing you want to work on, saying yes one time to a smaller, different job actually isn't going to be helpful at all, is it? So that end goal.
Yeah. And it's an energy disruptive to your energy. It's an energy disruption, because you are effectively taking your focus away from the thing that you want to be doing. And this is not just about, exactly what you want to be doing, because sometimes we don't know what we want to be doing, but choosing a thing. And also people wonder whether they should generalize first and specialize later. Well, I always say, no, you should do it the other way around. So specialize first and generalize later when you have a more established audience who would be more open to you doing different things and trying more of a generalist service with you. So, you've got to think about it in, again, going back to kind of really basic business, like maths and strategy. Start with one simple product or a few simple products, a few simple offerings, and then grow and scale those first, and then expand your suite of what you do. And it's the same if you have a product. Start with one product, get known for that one product, then add more products to your inventory. Don't try and sell 10 or 20 or 30 different types of products, because it's going to be so much harder to get known for 30 different types of products, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you advise business owners to pick their niche? Like when they're saying, I can do all of these things, is there something that you say, is it that they should be listening to their audience, or is it that they should be doing the thing that they kind of really want to do? How do you balance that?
Yeah, so this is a really, really good question, because a lot of people think that they need to choose a sector, right? They need to choose an industry. And we're talking about particularly service provision here. Choose a sector, choose an industry. That is basically what niche marketing theory has taught people for years. It's a kind of very old and outdated piece of advice.
Yeah.
So that's where people's resistance come from, because they're like, I don't want to choose a sector. That's boring. I don't want to limit myself to one sector. And I'm like, well, you actually don't have to do that. That's really boring way to think about it. So my theory is that there are about 10 different ways you can niche down, and you can sort of put your niche through this sort of almost this process of looking at it in 10 different ways. And I'll give you a few examples. So you could think about the stage of business that your client is at. Are they new in business? Are they a startup, or are they established? Don't try and serve both ends of that market, because those people have very different problems.
Yeah.
You might want to think about whether they, you said earlier about attracts like. So maybe it might be easier for you to start working with people that are kind of like you. So in the online world, in this service provider space, it might be easier for you to set up as a copywriter who supports other service providers, because actually that's kind of easier for you. Don't make life difficult for yourself and start going, well, I'm going to work with, I don't know, fashion designers, if you've never worked with fashion designers before, because it's just going to be more friction and more challenge. So really thinking about, your niche not being this kind of one-dimensional thing, but actually it could be a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So for example, you could work with like new service providers who are struggling. Let's say you're a copywriter, new service providers who are struggling to get words together to go on their website, and the skill that you provide, maybe you're a generalist marketer and you'd be tempted to set up as a generalist marketer doing all the marketing things. My advice would be stick to the copy and just do the copy. And maybe even you could niche down and say, I only do blogging. I only do blogging or website copy for new service providers. That's kind of a couple of the different lenses we can apply.
Yeah. I really like that. And I think anecdotally, like strictly speaking from our own experience here, we found when we were operating earlier on, when we were being much more generalist than we are now, when we would do so many different things, I feel that clients actually find that more difficult to navigate and maybe don't respect your time or your efforts as much as if you really pin down one thing and say, this is what I do and I'm shit hot at it.
100%.
Yeah. Absolutely. Is that something that's quite common?
Yeah, I think so. Because I really believe that when you're a generalist, you kind of operate in a sort of open to anything kind of energy. And it can be kind of, there's a lot of generalists out there that would disagree with me, and would say, oh no, I love being a generalist. I love the variety. And you're talking absolute rubbish, Ceels. But I do think that energetically, it's much easier to focus on doing one thing, like you say, and being absolutely shit hot at that one thing and building. This is the other reason we do it. We want to build authority. We want to build our reputation.
That's it.
I was a generalist marketer for years, and it didn't serve me. It was a nightmare. And now I know what I know, and I kind of teach what I know. I also know that as a business coach, I'm not just a generic business coach who does all the business coaching and all the different types of things. I have niched down to say I only do niching and offer strategy for service providers who are experienced in business. And that is, honestly, the weight that's lifted because I'm no longer like, I'll do that for you and I'll coach you on that. And it simplifies your business. It means your energy is focused. And also it means you can get really, really good at your process and what you put out there.
I think it sounds like as well, it just must be so much clearer in your marketing, because I know that like it feels when you're kind of creating your marketing, whether it's like social media or those things, that you're repeating yourself all the time. And so I think it's so much better to go, these are like the 5 topics I talk about because they are in my niche and I just keep going through them, and then people aren't confused about what you do. They're not like surprised as well that you're suddenly like talking about something they didn't know you did in services. So yeah, I think it's so key. And I'm always surprised that I know when me and Nay work with people, they always push back on it. They seem to think it just means they're really like limiting down on themselves, doesn't it? So I'm really glad that you're kind of putting it out there and kind of trying to get that message across as well, which I imagine must be hard. Do you get quite a lot of pushback still, even though you've been doing it and you've shown that it can be so successful?
Yeah, I love it though. I love it when people come to me and they're like, oh no,
you like to fight.
I don't know. I do. And I also think it's a process. It's, a lot of this stuff, although, what I teach is a lot of it is strategy. A lot of niching down is actually mindset work. So that was a huge part of the process and a hugely important part of what I do with my clients, specifically. Sorry, I've been talking all day, so I can't speak anymore. It's amazing. I even managed to say things eloquently.
You're doing incredibly well. Very impressed.
Thank you. But the main thing I guess I'm trying to say here is like you can say, oh right, I'm going to niche down, but you have to actually accept and commit to that. And that's a very big decision. That's a scary thing. That will be fear inducing. That will be something that brings up all those limiting beliefs. I'm going to be rejected. People are going to think it's shit. People aren't going to like it. Nobody's going to buy it. And what I always say to my clients is, if you niche down and it goes quiet for 6 months, please do not come back to me and say it didn't work, because you didn't give it enough time. This is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. No one who is successful managed to niche down and then all of a sudden overnight 100K success, whatever. Like, it doesn't work like that. So you have to commit to it.
I love that. This has come up quite a lot actually in recent podcasts that we've been doing, hasn't it, Lou? That there's this kind, and it's Instagram, it's social media, this kind of idea that you can make a decision and then next week you'll be 7 figures loaded, everything will be great. And that overnight success story, any time that I read anything about it, I do a little bit of digging into that person. I'm like, you've been at this for 4 years. Like, why lie? And I think, so much mindset work about letting go of that stuff, learning to say no productively is so hard. I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah. So boundaries and yeah. So I think if it's a client that wants to work with you and they're not kind of aligned to where you want to take your business, this is just about you really like learning to have. I was talking about this literally just today with a bunch of service providers in a workshop, but basically you've got to get really good at understanding the difference between being extremely masculine in setting boundaries and being feminine and soft.
Ooh, okay. I'm very intrigued by that.
Yeah. So a lot of people are really scared to say no, particularly women, because we are obviously unconsciously programmed to believe that saying no is like us being a bitch. And that we're somehow unhelpful and rude and whatever. And what I like to think about is, and people struggle with this, is that you can be firm and feminine. And people worry that they're going to be too masculine and too harsh. And like, I don't want to be hard about it. You're not ever going to be hard if you're just saying no. Saying no is not hard. It's not a hard activity to say, oh, no, thank you. So it's about you leaning into this idea of blending firm, almost like a firmness in what you will and you won't do, and really being clear about what that is. And then adding in your femininity to that, which is, you can still be nice and say no. You can send an email to somebody saying, thank you so much for considering me for this project. It sounds really exciting. However, I'm currently fully booked for the next 6 months, lies, and I can't do it.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I think as well, people forget that you saying yes to that thing is probably you saying no to several other things. You then cannot fit in the growth of your business, so I think that's always helped me of saying, especially when a project comes up and like, especially when you're starting off, you're like, oh, money, because we all like money, don't we? So you're like, oh, I kind of want to take this, but if it's not the dream customer, if it's actually not a project that I would actually want to get up and do and I'd be excited about, really, for both them and for me, I should be saying no to it, and I need to remember that my time and energy can go into better things for me. So I'm saying no to this so that I can say yes to the other opportunities. I think that's kind of helped me, because it's very difficult to say no, isn't it? So I'm glad that you're putting that out there. It's tricky, and it's something that I've had to learn very slowly over time, and I still sometimes fail as well. So
I feel like that whole saying no to say yes to something else is such an important thing, because people think about niching as this sort of this restrictive thing, and how I like to see it is you're actually crafting this sort of incredible legacy. That's what you're doing. It's a legacy for the future. So why would you neglect that for something that's mediocre? And yes, okay, instant money, but is it really that good money? Is it really? And also, worst case scenario, and I always ask my clients this, worst case scenario, if you don't take this job, what's going to happen? Are you going to be able to pay your bills? No? Okay. Can your partner help you pay your bills for a month or two? Yes. Right. Okay. Worst case scenario, we have to go and get another job, like whatever. And so there's always a reason why we can think that we need to say yes to something, when actually we need to just focus on building that legacy and building that expertise and building that authority. That is your number one priority in business.
Wow, I really love that take. Like, I know, Louise, you might feel the same. I never think of my business that way, and that's such a nice way of looking at it. It's not just this like thing that we're striving for all the time. We're creating this long-lasting legacy.
Yeah,
you want to be proud of everything that's gone into it. And I guess that's where choosing those right projects come in, is that the pride that you then have in that work, you're more likely to share it. You're more likely to attract like-minded people. Whereas the opposite is obviously true if you're scrimping for everything that will come your way.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, that's definitely something when I was freelancing previously to Lucky Nightlight on my own, I was so desperate to say yes to every single thing that I ended up with like an entirely full client roster and not a single project that I would have been proud to share or to like get a testimonial on. And then they would refer me to their friends. And I was like, oh my God, suddenly my diary was just even more full of this sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a hard lesson to learn. But now that Louise and I have done it, and I'm sure same for you, Ceels, our business feels so easy. It feels so fun and like a joy to run.
Yeah. And that's how it should feel. Like business shouldn't feel hard. And this is the bullshit that's out there about, I was reading something on Threads this morning. Somebody was like, this bro marketer was like, oh, you need to do this and you need to like stop going out for meals and you need to and then you need to work like twice as hard as the hardest worker in the office. And I was just like, I just thought, no, this is the wrong message to be sending out to our, future generations. Like, yes, okay, if it was like the 1920s, like, yes, of course, you work in a factory and you work hard, but business doesn't need to feel hard. And if it's feeling hard, it's probably because whatever you're doing is not aligned and you're basically being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so true. And I think especially when it's your business, it's your choice. It's certainly not easier than being employed. Being employed, actually, you clock in, you do your time, you get paid. The whole point of having your business is it's something that you're passionate about, something that you care about and that you want to do, because otherwise it's hard enough as it is sometimes, isn't it? You definitely don't need the struggles of motivation to try and kick you into doing it as well. So yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah
Amazing.
And that is a very good point about the fact that people will quit the corporate world or quit the 9 to 5. They're like, I've had enough of this. I want to set on my own business. It's going to be great. I'm going to have flexibility. I'm going to have freedom. I'm going to take 2-hour-long lunch breaks. I'm going to go and get coffee with my friends. I'm going to take Fridays off. And then because of the way that the workplace has conditioned them, and I did this myself and speak from bitter experience, they basically recreate their entire 9 to 5 environment in their own business. So they're working, but even to the extreme. So in their old job, they might have worked 40 hours a week. In their new business, they're working 70 because they think they have to work hard. And they've got this bollocks in their head that's saying, you need to do more. You need to be a success. Everyone's going to think you're a failure if you don't make this work and you don't put all this work in. And it's just all lies.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of push as well for growth. Every year it needs to be bigger and bigger. And you're like, or I could just be quite content and happy and I could just do projects that I really enjoy, that I really like, and as you said, I think your business should help you get the life that you're wanting. That's the whole, one of the reasons for kind of creating your own business, isn't it? Is that it can work around your life and have that flexibility. So yeah, I think it's such a key point that I often need to remind myself as well when those late nights kind of coding away. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? I need to probably step away from the computer a little bit. Yeah. Awesome. So Ceels, thank you so much for today. Where can people find out more about you then? And obviously you've got your podcast, Peaceful Service Pro, which is fantastic as well. But what else? How else can they get in touch with you?
Well, I tend to hang out on Instagram, Ceels.Lockley, and you can also head over to my website, ceelslockley.co, and explore ways of working with me. If you're struggling with niche, if you're struggling with, your offer suite, that's kind of the kind of main areas that I get kind of work for. I have a course to help you nail your niche, which is a little mini course. And I also have, like I say, a group program, and I also do coaching. So if you're interested in exploring, you can apply on the website. And otherwise, if you just want to say hi, come say hi on Instagram. Always lovely to get DMs from other peeps.
Yeah, and definitely see your new branding as well. I love it. So good.
Thank you.
As many eyes as possible on that. I just want to say massive thank you for joining us on the podcast today. we've just been Instagram friends for so long, haven't we? Like chatting away all the time. And I've always loved following everything that you do. So having you on the pod is a bit of a dream come true. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a brilliant conversation. I know, like my head is spinning with all the ideas that we've just talked about and all of the, the things that you've shared that really make so much sense, but you'd never think of until someone spells it out for you. So massive thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to you guys for listening as well. We hope that you've really enjoyed this episode of the pod. Make sure that you go and check out Ceels' website and say hello to her on Instagram. She is full of incredible niching wisdom and all things business strategy. And we'll catch you on the next one.